Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly. What doesn't transmit light creates its own darkness. That man lives badly who does not know how to die well. Given that all must die, it is better to die with distinction than to live long. What is death? A scary mask? Take it off. See it doesn't bite. Eventually, body and soul will have to separate, just as they existed separately before we were born. So why be upset if it happens now? If it isn't now, it's later. You act like mortals in all that you fear, and like immortals in all that you desire. No evil is honorable, but death is honorable. Therefore, death is not evil. Death is not evil. What is it then? The one law mankind has that is free of all discrimination. Choose to die well while you can. Wait too long, and it might become impossible to do so. You may leave this life at any moment. Have the possibility in your mind in all that you do or say or think. Before I became old, I tried to live well. Now that I am old, I shall try to die well. But dying well means dying gladly. Don't behave as if you are destined to live forever. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good now. What upsets people is not things themselves, but their judgments about the things. For example, death is nothing dreadful, but instead the judgment about death that it is dreadful, that is what is dreadful. So, when we are thwarted or upset or distressed, let us never blame someone else but rather ourselves, that is, our own judgments. An educated person accuses others when he's doing badly. A partly educated person accuses himself. An educated person accuses neither someone else nor himself. When the longest and shortest lived of us dies, their loss is precisely equal. For the sole thing of which any of us can be deprived is the present, since this is all we own and no one can lose what is not theirs. No evil is great, which is the last evil of all. Death arrives. It would be a thing to dread if it could remain with you. But death must either not come at all or else must come and pass away. Let death and exile and all other things which appear terrible be daily before your eyes, but chiefly death, and you will never entertain any abject thought nor too eagerly covet anything. Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books each day. The one who puts the finishing touches on their life each day is never short of time. Remember also that each man lives only the present moment. The rest of the time is either spent and gone or is quite unknown. It is very little time which each man lives, and in a small corner of the earth, and the largest surviving fame is but short, and this conveyed through the succession of poor mortals, each presently a-dying, men who neither knew themselves nor the persons long since dead. Accept death in a cheerful spirit, as nothing but the dissolution of the elements from which each living thing is composed. If it doesn't hurt the individual elements to change continually into one another, why are people afraid of all of them changing and separating? It's a natural thing, and nothing natural is evil. Death is neither a good nor a bad thing. For that alone, which is something, can be good or a bad thing, but that which is nothing and reduces all things to nothing does not hand us over to either fortune, because good and bad require some material to work upon. Fortune cannot take a hold of that which nature has let go, nor can a man be unhappy if he has nothing. You can discard most of the junk that clutters your mind, things that exist only there, and you will immediately make vast space for yourself by grasping the whole universe in your thought, by contemplating the eternity of time, and by reflecting on the speed with which things change, each part of everything, the brief gap from birth to death, the infinite time before, and the equally infinite time that follows. Stop whatever you're doing for a moment and ask yourself, am I afraid of death because I won't be able to do this anymore? We're tight-fisted with property and money, yet think too little of wasting time, the one thing about which we should all be the toughest misers. No evil is honorable, but death is honorable. Therefore, death is not evil. Brief is man's life, and small the nook of the earth where he lives. Brief, too, is the longest posthumous fame, buoyed only by a succession of poor human beings who will very soon die, and who know little of themselves, much less of someone who died long ago. I cannot escape death, but at least I can escape the fear of it. Let each thing you would do, say, or intend be like that of a dying person. But death and life, honor and dishonor, pain and pleasure, all these things equally happen to good men and bad, being things which make us neither better nor worse. Therefore, they are neither good nor evil. About death, whether it is a dispersion or a resolution in the atoms or annihilation, it is either extinction or change. Death is not an evil. What is it then? The one law making has that is free of all discrimination. Death smiles at us all. All we can do is smile back. This is our big mistake, to think we look forward to death. Most of death is already gone. Whatever time has passed is owned by death. Remember, you must die. Memento mori. The art of living well and the art of dying well are one. Life is the art of dying. Death is not the greatest loss in life. The greatest loss is what dies inside us while we live. Death is nothing to us, since when we are, death has not come, and when death has come, we are not. Death is the wish of some, the relief of many, and the end of all. The day which we fear as our last is but the birthday of eternity. The hour of departure has arrived, and we go our separate ways, I to die and you to live. Which of these two is better, only God knows. To study philosophy is nothing but to prepare oneself to die. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living somebody else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the result of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of other opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. It is a curious thing, the death of a loved one. We all know that our time in this world is limited and that eventually all of us will end up underneath some sheet, never to wake up. And yet it is always a surprise when it happens to someone we know. It's like walking up the stairs to your bedroom in the dark and thinking there's one more stair than there is. Your foot falls down through the air and there's a sickly moment of dark surprise as you try and readjust the way you thought of things. I must die. Must I then die lamenting? I must be put in chains. Must I also lament? I must go into exile. Does that mean then hinder me from going with smiles and cheerfulness and contentment? We cannot, after all, judge a biography by its length, by the number of pages in it. We must judge by the richness of its contents. Sometimes the unfinished are among the most beautiful symphonies. It is nothing to die, it is frightful not to live. Do not use life to give life to death. Do not use death to bring death to life.